Hello, and welcome to my podcast, episode 1 of 1, because I will only be doing this one time. I don't think a podcast is in my near future. I do talk to myself a lot, but I don't really think that, this is going to be one of my career paths. But, yeah, to introduce myself, my name is Sophie Hurdle. I'm a freshman here at Wheaton College. I feel like I'm just saying a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. Because when I turn this in, we will both see that it's from me, Sophie Hurdle. Okay. That's enough blabbing. We'll get into the good stuff. So, today I am going to be discussing gender roles, which is a very hot topic. I almost had a special guest to come on to my podcast, but that was when I had a different idea, and now that I have this idea, I'm very glad that I did not let them on because it is a male. And we would have gotten in a whole fight. Would have been entertaining for anyone who's listening. Definitely not good for the both of us, but, that was not in the cards. Very happy that this worked out this way. But basically, now that I think about it, I really don't know how to make a podcast. Okay, whatever. To begin, gender roles have been a part of society since eons ago. Like when the wars were happening, the moms or the wives would stay home, take care of the kids, do like the cooking, cleaning, household mumbo jumbo, while, the man is off fighting for war, doing the labor, whatever. This translates into future in society where females are known to cook and clean the house still to this day, and, men would be known to go off to work. Now, I guess you could say that these gender roles have slightly shifted because I feel like now it's much more common for females to go work. Like, for example, my household situation, due to certain circumstances, my mom is the only one that works. And my dad takes care of the household stuff, which is very not according to the strict, I say strict in air quotes, gender roles. But for the most part, you hear of, oh yeah, men go off to work, women clean house, women do this, women do that. Women, in air quotes again, have it easy to a male's perspective, which I think is awful. I hate that idea, but I'm also an extremely independent person and am firmly stuck in my ways where I don't need a man. I can do whatever I want. But as gender roles, air quotes, every time I say gender roles, let's pretend I'm doing air quotes because I genuinely think that they're a myth. I don't think that gender roles are a thing necessarily now in society, just because women every day prove that they're wrong and it's not a thing. But like I was saying, I'm very independent. Don't need someone to, walk me out to my car at night. Well, granted, I am deathly afraid of serial killers, so sometimes it's nice to have someone with me, but that is besides the point. That's like a one in a lifetime thing, and I'm actually wish I didn't say that, because now I'm gonna jinx it. Getting off topic. Okay, anyways, yeah, but perfect example of these gender roles playing out. So a bunch of my friends that I interact with every day, they're males that work for labor jobs. Didn't go to college, just decided to go off and work. Even my dad didn't even go to college. He went off and worked. Now we can show this in the gender role part. Women go off to college, men go work. Women go off to college to get more intelligent, to provide household, men go work. Men are known to do labor jobs, quote unquote. So I've been told multiple times, I'll be at work and I'll be talking to my friends and whatnot, and a couple of them will be like, oh, like, you know what, like, you should just join a trade. You should just join a trade. Like, just work with your hands, make a lot of money. And I'm like, okay. Honestly, that doesn't sound awful because it's kind of more normal now. And then I'll go report back to my very close male friend, and he'll be like, no, you shouldn't do that. Women should not work in the trades because they quote unquote do it bad. Every time this gets said, I can't even explain the amount of anger that fuels my body. Because what do you mean, like, a woman can't do a trade? A woman can learn something just as much as a man can. But this brings me to a perfect point, an unintentional segue, where it has been embedded into our brains since we were children that men are smarter than women, quote unquote. Men are better than women, quote unquote. It is just embedded in our heads unintentionally due to, like, society and just schooling that men are smarter than women, are better than women. And then that, people grow up and it's not even like that was an explicit thing that was said, unless it was for some people, but it's not explicitly being said that men are better than women. It's just being taught throughout, school. And so people grow up with that mindset. So perfect example, this, like, women can't do trades, are gonna do them bad. Why? Because men are better? Boom. Why? Because men are quote unquote better. Oh, okay, yeah, right. Anger. That is the most frustrating thing ever said to me. Because even though, quote unquote, women are less intelligent than men, which is highly debatable because any study ever shows that women have a higher intellect than men. It's just proven. But it follows the gender role idea, where these gender roles are being placed into our head from a young age, even going further back into grade school. Not further back than this men are smarter than women idea, but we learn about the wars in school, and what do we only see? Oh, men on the battlefield going to war, and the women are home. We learn that when we are younger, and it's not even to be sexist in a sense. It's genuinely just a part of history that ends up getting reinforced as people get older. But that can be tossed back in your face when you see plenty of women now enlisting into the military. Like, it's not just a man's job to serve the country anymore. Women are now choosing to do that as well. Yeah. But other than that it's getting pushed into our brain when we were younger, it literally sprouts up as we get older. Perfect example, in an article written by Elizabeth Stroke called I'm Not Gonna Hit a Lady, Conversation Analysis, Membership Categorization, and Men's Denials of Violence Towards Women. Men who have been arrested deny accusations of assaulting women in subsequent interrogations by police, as put in Elizabeth Stroke's words. I'm quoting her. This is awful because this can go, honestly, either way. I feel as though people hear more about men assaulting women and men being more aggressive towards women, and that honestly can be watered down to the fact that, men, since they think they're better than women, since they think that I mean, I'm not, okay, when I say all of this, I'm not saying for everyone. I'm just saying like a broad idea. This sense that like men think they're better than women, men think that they're more intelligent than women, they believe they can disrespect women. And that's where a line gets crossed, where people don't think about it enough while children are growing up. Granted, it's becoming much more apparent as society ages that like these gender roles are very clear. And, you know, gender, sexuality, all of this, I don't want to say new, and I don't want to say things. I just don't know the right word to put it. I wouldn't even say movements. Like, or popularity. I don't know the right way to prove it. You know, we have new views on society within the recent decades due to so many different things, like LGBTQ rights getting popularized, which they should have been popularized from the beginning. I'm just saying that within recent decades, it's becoming much better, where LGBTQ rights are getting, what's the word? I wish I could find the word for what I'm trying to say. Approved, I guess. Rights are being approved. I guess that's the best way I'm going to put it right now. But the sense that men feel as though that women are inferior to them, therefore they can disrespect them, and then claim that, oh no, I didn't assault my female. And the worst part is it gets taken to court and it will be slid under the rug so fast. Like, you see on the news, maybe not on the news, but there is cases of domestic violence all the time. And, you know, mild cases potentially get swept under the rug. The person will be thrown in jail for maybe 2 years, whereas Black people are being accused of a crime that they didn't commit and they're being sentenced to the death penalty. This opens a whole can of worms, and I don't feel as though this should be discussed in this podcast, but that's a whole other thing. But it goes down to, there's a lot of men in political positions that feel as though they have the right to speak on women's rights. So, like, a woman gets sexually assaulted, abused, any of the above, violated, harmed. It gets taken to a man. The abuser or whomever that hurt the female, I'm just gonna say like a very like standard domestic abuse case where, you know, man and female are dating. Man hurts woman. Go to court. A man is on the judge. The man is a judge. Lawyers, whatever, the jury. Mainly males. And they'll talk about it and, oh yeah, man is fine. Man didn't do anything. Female is crazy though. She's just a Looney Tunes, which is so sad that that's the reality, where like, oh yeah, no, like she's just crazy, but he actually hurt her, but no, we think that she's crazy. Awful. And even to go further into men allocating, I can't use big words like that in a sentence, it's gonna just not sound right, so I'm just gonna pretend I didn't try to use that word. Men male politicians putting in their opinions on women's birth rights. Another whole can of worms. Pro-choice versus pro-life. Men have now created this whole idea that since they are better than women, quote unquote, more intelligent than women, quote unquote, they feel that they are capable of making these very important body rights in their hands. And what do they always do? Not always. You know, like I said, it's very, not everyone, but majority. Pro-life is being voted for over pro-choice in an ungodly amount. Like, abortions are getting banned everywhere. Granted, it's like the state's choice, but it's all coming down to male politicians believing their views and not understanding, how a female feels. Like, personally, I'm pro-choice. I understand that this is a whole political debate, and I don't love talking about politics with people, but pro-choice is the only one that I will talk about because I believe that it's your body. You can decide what you want to do with it. People may judge you. That's up to them. But at the end of the day, you have your body and you can choose what you want to do with it. But it's getting voted out because a lot of males cannot fathom the idea of, oh, why are you going to kill a child? Like, the amount of debates I've gotten with guys being like, well, no, abortion should be banned because why are you going to kill a child? They don't understand what is going on. But when you bring it up to court and everything, it all comes down to these men are making these decisions because they feel as though that they are superior to females, and it is turning society in a honestly disgusting turn. Like, if we had an equal amount of Republican and Democrats, and on both sides an equal amount of males and females, I feel as though that these debates will go in a very different trajectory. But no, that's not how this is working, because men feel as though that they can, not necessarily that they feel they can fulfill these political roles. Like, females fill these political roles all the time, which goes back to the gender roles, where males used to dominate the political field, and now we're seeing more female politicians running for office and coming in, and that's a great thing because, it's literally just comes down to diversity. Like, men and female, black, white, whoever should be able to become a politician, not just white males. And I'm just going to leave that there because that is going to go into a whole political debate, which is honestly kind of nice because I feel as though I'm just talking to myself and I'm not arguing with whom probably would be a male if this debate ever came up, and then I would just stop talking because men are better to them. Whatever. But all of this ends up coming down to what is gender. And that idea is just so beyond controversial, which it shouldn't be, because I feel as though there's a scientific and a, not necessarily a mental representation of it, but what is gender? Sex and gender are different. We've discussed that. Sex is what you're assigned with at birth. Gender, in my opinion, is how you feel. If you feel as though you were born in a male's body, but you do not feel like a man, and you are so much more comfortable as being a female, all the power to you. You are a female. It honestly is so subjective, and I really hope I'm using the right word for that. Gender is fluid. Sexuality is fluid. Sex is what you're assigned with at birth, but gender really is just whatever you truly feel you are, in my opinion. So all of these gender roles come down to what even is gender, and why are these roles being enforced when people can't even decide what gender means? So why are gender roles such a huge part of society when people can't even figure out what gender means? It genuinely makes no sense to me. And like I said in the beginning, I feel as though, gender roles are a myth. I don't think that they are necessarily a real thing. I feel as though you can do whatever you want. You just gotta really want to do it. It doesn't matter if you're a man, female, it doesn't matter who you are. If you really want something, you can do it. Will you have things stopping you? Absolutely. But like, these gender roles are something that are slowly diminishing throughout the years, which I think is a great thing. But the fact that they've even been enforced, unintentionally enforced, from the get-go, like children, I think is awful. And I believe that, school districts, society should adjust it to make people feel as though like everyone is equal. Yeah. So moral of the story, what is gender and why are gender roles a thing if people can't even figure out their version or definition of what is gender? I don't even have words for that comment. Like, I feel as though that's a question that society can't even answer because it changes. Society changes, and people need to adjust with it. And that's all I have to say. Because now I'm sitting here thinking about what I just said, being like, oh, what? Yeah. But I think that's all for my podcast. Basically just me going on a big tangent for what I believe is 15 minutes. I'm gonna flip this onto myself. 20 minutes, actually. A lot longer than I was expecting, but I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about gender roles. I guess that's what a podcast is someone ranting, but yeah, so that's all for today. Tune in to the next episode that most likely is not happening, but